How you doing, Sandesh here? I'm going to be reading from a Screen Rant, and it's about the Borderlands movie adaptation on how that was such a fuck up, and I honestly believe that anyone with a brain knew it was going to be a fuck up the second you saw the trailer. It wasn't gonna make any money. It was gonna be a flop no matter what happened. Anyway, and the title is we got the guy who was a director. He's pretty much open and he says we got our asses handed to us, and explains what went wrong with the video game adaptation after 33 million flop. Um, by the way, if you could follow me, if you could follow me in the links in my bio, I would appreciate it. And please like, comment, and subscribe as well if you don't mind, please. I'm going to get into it now. Borderlands director Eli Roth candidly explains how the 2024 video game adaptation went so wrong after its critical and commercial failure. Um, Based on the game franchise by Gearbox Software. Do you know what? I blame the failure. I blame it on the producers and I blame it on the writers too, because the thing is, obviously the actors are just hired help, so the producers would have been the one, the studio, the producers, and the writers. Well, the producers and the studio would have been the one to dictate on how it was going to be. The action adventure film hit theaters last August following Kate Blanchett's which follows Kate Blanchett's Lilith, a bounty hunter. And by the way, for the from what I gathered, it wasn't an accurate portrayal of the characters of the Borderland universe. It just wasn't it just wasn't, and Kevin Hart's character was just only created for the film, which made even less sense. And by the way, is it just me or is anyone else annoyed by Kevin, who just finds Kevin Hart so annoying? He just comes across as so loud and so desperate to want attention. Honestly, he really does come across as that. Um, anyway, Kate Blanchett's Lilith, a bounty hunter, as she teams up with a crew of misfits for a dangerous mission to find a missing girl. Despite the Borderlands cast, also featuring Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, Ariana Greenblatt, um, Florian Montinu, I think that's what it is, and Jack Black as the voice of who was he again? I can't remember. Let me know in the comments who he was. And the film was lambasted by critics and grossed just 33 million worldwide. During a recent interview with Matthew Baloney on the Town podcast, Roth reflects on the Borderlands failure and addresses reports that he wasn't involved in any of the movie's reshoots. I did not, that is correct, Roth confirms, revealing that he was instead already working on his Thanksgiving in his 2023 horror. This made for a unique theatre experience for the director, as he reveals that though he was credited as a director and co-writer, he didn't know what ended up in the final cut of the movie. So basically, he didn't get final cut. Though scheduling may have been to blame for Tim Miller stepping in to direct the reshoots, Roth says it was COVID that really hurt the making of the film. Um, while you can blame COVID, for me personally, I honestly blame the majority of the blame has to go to the studio and the producers. It just has to. Anyway, this is what he says. Yeah, I was doing Thanksgiving, and it's also the kind of thing where, like, wow, I'm going to see a movie I directed. What happens? That was kind of an experience. I remember being like, am I at the point of my career where I'm going to sit down to watch my own movie that says I wrote and directed it? And I really genuinely don't know what's going to happen. There is a thing where they're like, you know what, you took the money, you can take it on the chin. I believe that once they pay you, that's part of the deal, and that is true. If there's creative differences or whatever happens, they're doing reshoots without you, and they say, "This is what we're doing," and you're the figurehead. You get out there, you put on a smile, and people just smack you in the face, and you gotta stand there and go, "Okay, I have a pull." You know what I mean? How do you justify it? You don't justify. You don't justify it. And I gotta admit, at least he's got the balls to take it on the chin. I give him 100% credit for that because when all those flops were happening at Disney or Marvel after Avengers Endgame, right? All you saw was all these directors and writers that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they were blaming everyone else, saying, "Oh, it's your fault. It's not my fault." At least he's taking. At least he's putting his hands up and saying, "You know what?" And saying, "You know what? Even though I wasn't there for the reshoots, I'll take the blame. I don't mind it." So I'll give him a lot of I'll give him respect for that. By the way, I would work with Lionsgate again. I just wouldn't work under those circumstances. And I think none of us anticipated how complicated things were going to be with COVID. And well, the thing is, yeah, you know what, you could just blame geopolitics on COVID, to be honest. Not just in terms of what we're shooting, but then you have to do pickup shots or reshoots, and you have six people that are all on different sets, and every one of those sets is getting shut down because the cities have opened up, and now there's a COVID outbreak, and it was just like we couldn't prep in a room together. I couldn't be with my stunt people. I couldn't do previs previs. I think that's what it says. Everyone's spread all over the place. You can't prep a movie on that scale over Zoom, and I think we all thought we could pull it off, and we got our asses handed to us a bit. Just a bit. You definitely got your asses handed to you, no doubt about it. Made on an estimated budget of 115 million, Borderlands could have been looking at a break-even point of around 230 million, a goal it clearly fell very short of. Though the video game franchise it's based on remains popular, I completely disagree with that. The popularity of Borderlands is honestly not there. While there's still a lot of people that like it, as far as peak popularity when Borderlands 1 or 2 happened, when the first two happened, it's just not there anymore. And I honestly believe with the fourth one that comes out in September, I don't think there's going to be as many players that are going to be enthusiastic to play Borderlands. And the Borderlands ending may have left the door open for a sequel, but one is essentially guaranteed not to happen now. The film's drastic underperformance at the box office accompanied poor reviews across the board on Tomatoes or Tomatoes, and Borderlands has only 10% score from critics, with common complaints being the film's unfunny banter between the main characters and over reliance on CGI action sequences that are devoid of tension. In her Borderlands review for Screen Rant, Tatiana Halunda goes against the grain with a decent score 7 out of 10, praising the cast while taking issue with the rapid pacing due to a condensed runtime. Um, the issue is rather than Borderlands seems to have noticed that audiences are tired of movies being overly long and self-indulgent, and thus it course corrected to the opposite direction. The movie is a tight 1 hour 40 minutes and it gets the job done, but leaves a potential gold mine material on the cutting room floor. But here's the thing: just because I got it down to 1 hour 40 minutes, that 1 hour 40 minutes could feel very long, especially if the pace isn't right, and the writing isn't good, especially the banter. If none of that is gelling between them in the film, I don't care if it's 1 hour 30 or 1 hour 40. That time could feel like a lifetime especially if it feels like a slog. I mean, think about it. Avengers Endgame was 3 hours, and I watched it, and to me, it did not feel like a 3 hour film, honestly. Filmmaking is a collaborative effort with numerous departments having to work together to bring any movie to life. COVID then certainly could have thrown a wrench in the making of Borderlands, but it's likely that the script also wasn't in great shape to begin with. That's my point. The script writers. It's worth noting that other movies made during COVID, like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, or fellow video game adaptations, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, for example, didn't suffer the same fates. That's what I'm saying. COVID wasn't the absolute complete reason on why that happened. The reason this film did shit, like I said, the studio, the producers, the writing as well. It's important to remember that nobody ever sets out to make a poorly received or unsuccessful movie. But the thing is, the spirit of the film, I mean, the spirit of the game, especially the characters, then I mean none of it was there. So it was basically like, who the hell is this film for? It obviously didn't. It obviously didn't get the. It didn't get the audience that they wanted. Whenever it's the casuals or the fans of the games, so it was just a complete waste of time and money, to be honest. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on my links in my bio too, on my YouTube bio. And let me know if you've seen the Borderlands film or not. And if you're a Borderlands fan, are you going to play Borderlands 4 or not? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.